Okay, guys, you should have already finished the next part of annotating, so I just wanted to make sure that you're ready so you can change your status and then we can move forward with our document. So this time, if you will change your status to a confused face, that will let my aide know that you are ready to move forward with the next section of our presentation and lecture. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to add when we were talking about the ideas in science, Mendel is a monk who is living in a monastery, and he is actually a gardener. And so he's actually, as a scientist, looking through scientific discovery that he sees when he's looking at, he is cross-pollinating pea plants, and he realizes if he takes one pea plant that is white, for example, versus a pea plant that is purple, for an example, when he mixes them together, the plants that are going to grow out of the seedlings from these two pea plants, a white one and a purple one, he finds that he gets a certain percentage that are white versus a certain percentage that is purple. And he starts realizing that genes are either dominant or recessive. And then he starts looking at, from this information that he's learned, at parents and looking at the parents and then their offspring, their children, and seeing if the father has brown hair and brown eyes versus the mother having brown hair and blue eyes or blonde hair and blue eyes. They start seeing how many of those children are going to end up with brown hair and brown eyes versus those who have blonde hair and blue eyes. And so he uses this through his method of discovery to figure out how genes are passed on. So now we're going to move on to our social science explore behavior. And like I said, during the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment thinkers believed that they could take these ideas that they had learned from science, that they had learned in nature, and they could now use it to see expectations that they would see within society. So new studies began to arise in the field of humanities and created the new studies of archaeology, anthropology, and sociology. Another new important social science was psychology, the study of human mind and behavior. Ivan Pavlov, a Russian physiologist, believed human actions were often unconscious reactions to experiences and could be changed by training. Sigmund Freud from Austria stated the unconscious mind drives from how people think and act. And Freud is going to come up with these theories of who you are, the id, the ego, the superego. We as individuals are going to be trying to make our needs met. And so we are going to be looking at these different characteristics of the human being. Whereas Pavlov said if you are given a certain reaction to things, you're going to continually do the same thing unconsciously, not knowing that you're even doing it. And he actually used a dog trying to get dogs to salivate over the smell of food. And so what he did is he did these experiments to see how people would react. So take a moment and annotate your text. And when you have finished annotating your text, then please now change your status to a applaud. This will let my aide know that we can go forward and finish the last section of our annotated notes. So moving forward, the rise of mass culture, which was the appeal of art, writing, music, and other forms of entertainment to a larger audience. The demand for leisure resulted in a variety of new things for people to enjoy. They went to music performances where people would go to a music hall and watch up to 12 different acts ranging from music, comedy, dancers, singers, and jugglers. These events were called vaudeville. Vaudeville would be something that I definitely would want to make sure I knew what it meant and defined. These acts would travel from city to city, setting up shows as they went in local city theaters. So now we have these traveling performers who are going from one city to the other and setting up these different performances that people could pay a ticket to go and see the show. And they would have multiple different acts, kind of like if you were watching the X Factor on TV. Excuse me, you're going to be able to watch different people performing and decide if you think it's worthwhile or not. This is kind of like a traveling theater group, kind of like a traveling circus where people would have different acts coming up on stage and performing for people. And now with not so many time working in the factory and having less days off, now we could start enjoying our leisure time or time off from work by doing these kinds of events. Inventors came up with movie reels where they played for less than a minute each. They originated in France, and the first moving picture was of a man blowing his nose. This was unheard of. People literally paid to go to the movie theater to watch a man actually moving on stage where he picked up a Kleenex and he blew his nose because they had never seen a motion picture before. They've seen still lifes in cameras where they have a photograph, but they had never actually seen one moving. And this is going to eventually turn into the silent film era. And then we have talkies where they actually have voices that are attached to the movies. Then eventually we add color, and then it's like going to the movies that we see even today. Our very first movie theaters were known as Nickelodeons. And the reason they called them Nickelodeons is because they cost 5 cents to get in. Edison had many inventors working for him who made movies which he took credit for. By 1910, there were over 5 million Americans watching movies attended in some 10,000 theaters each day. With this new leisure, people had more time for sporting events. They went to parks and played sports, or they went to arenas where they watched sports being played or performed. This is the invention of what we know as spectator sports. We ourselves are not the athletes playing the game for fun. We are now watching professionals play the game as we cheer them on as a form of entertainment for ourselves. Football and baseball were the two most popular in America. Due to this interest in sports, the first International Olympic Games began in 1896, which occurred with the best of the best athletes competing every 4 years from around the world. The first of these Olympic Games originated in Athens, Greece, where the Olympic competition originated in ancient Greece. Go ahead and take a moment to annotate your text.